Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the March 1st work session of the Salisbury City Council. We have a rather brief agenda tonight. However, we do have a closed session following this meeting. So let's get started without further ado. We have an update from Chesapeake Utilities regarding the natural gas project. And Amanda's going to walk us through that. Amanda, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. In your package is the memo from Chesapeake Utilities detailing what they've done in the last month and what they'll be doing in the upcoming month. And I think the most notable item was a lot of the clearing work has begun. We've all gotten plenty of phone calls about some trees that have come down in the last few weeks. They've also noted that they continue to work with city staff on the rail trail project, and Will just met with them last Friday about that. I will also note that Julia and I met with Chesapeake Utilities last Thursday about the trees and looking at having some of their tree remediation work be on city property. So they are working on a proposal and will be coming back to us soon to replant some trees for the benefit of the city.
Good. Couple of questions. Has there been any issues raised that we know that will impact the rail trail relative to construction interruption?
Not as far as our rail trail is concerned, because we are used to having roads over there, gas mains, so that's not been an issue. Our bigger issues still are that the railroad is not as in favor about having an active rail trail in their right of way. But we are asking Chesapeake Utilities to look at a couple of places of properties that they own where we could possibly get easements or right of ways from them. So that's something that they're still working on and getting back to us on.
Gotcha. Okay. Any questions for Amanda here?
No questions.
Thank you. Michelle?
No questions.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Amanda. And if anything comes up, you don't have to wait till the meeting. You can always shoot us an email, and that would help. Thank
Certainly.
you. Okay. Next on the agenda, we have commercial real estate services introduction, and Procurement Director Jennifer Miller is on. Good afternoon, and why don't you walk us through it?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to give you an update. So back in the fall, the Department of Procurement issued a request for proposal for real estate advisory services. This would help the city buy, sell, or lease both commercial and residential properties within the city of Salisbury. One of the first contracts that we awarded was to a firm called KNLB. They originally started in Baltimore, Maryland. They have actually 4 offices now between the DC and the Baltimore area. We contracted them for the purposes of handling the commercial real estate side of the business. So we just wanted to give you an update. We met with KNLB about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago to start talking about what this process would look like. And that's what we wanted to share with council tonight, because this is a new process for the city. Traditionally, commercial properties were advertised via a request for proposals. That process sometimes isn't the most effective for what we want to do. We've seen that quite often in the past that the fruits of that, it's a very slow process, very time consuming, very tedious process. Hence why we sought the services of a company that has more reach, more depth than what we do, and can more easily handle a transaction from start to finish. So I do know that the guys from KNLB are on the work session agenda tonight. Maybe at the end of this, they can quickly say hi and introduce themselves. So the first set of properties that the city is looking at, I did list in your packet. There's one on Short Street, 621 Short Street, and then 4 of them on Ann Street, 501, 503, 505, and 407. When we met with KNLB, we talked about sort of what this would look like. We would if we still wanted to use in any one of these properties or any property going forward, we could still certainly use that traditional request for proposal process. But we feel that using KNLB to, again, publicly advertise, put out marketing material, and so on and so forth for the sale of properties serves the same purpose, okay? But we still have that request for proposal tool, should we want to use it, and when we may want a particular development outcome, okay? Any of the properties that I listed there, plus any others, would still go through that surplus declaration process. So again, bringing those items to council, asking that they be declared surplus. And then at that point, then we would turn them over to KNLB to appropriately market those properties. We would ask KNLB, much like they do for all of their other clients, to provide competitive analytics and any other property marketing to achieve the optimum buy or sell pricing for the city. We did talk about, much like a request for proposal or a bid that the Department of Procurement puts out, we normally put bids on the street for 30 days, and sometimes a little bit more. And we do that to obtain the biggest reach that we can, to give the public enough time to respond. Certainly if we put something out for a week, maybe we wouldn't capture as large of a market. So we did talk about this concept of mirroring what we do on the KNLB side, making sure listings stay active for a good 30 days, during which time KNLB can accept offers and then at the end review those offers as a whole. The city would, working with the executive office or myself or whoever, what team is decided, we would provide them with a range of authority to negotiate a price, okay? And then, as always, any offer would be not only vetted by the executive office, but we would present that offer back to City Council for final approval. So we want to ensure City Council that none of this is just being handled, you know, it's whereas KNLB will be our, you know, boots on the street, the rest of it will look pretty normal, okay? Again, surplusing it, again, getting City Council's input with this information. KNLB would really handle the entire transaction through closing, okay? And then they're able to provide additional real estate consulting services if we need them. So again, I just wanted to bring this to council again, because it's a new process, but in many aspects, it will look very similar to how we've tried to handle things internally, but we just have so many properties now that we, you know, either that are city-owned properties now that we'd like to see sold and developed, that it's getting a little bit too much for our level of expertise. And we really needed to call in some of the big guns to help us with this project.
Thank you, Jennifer, for the summary. Questions from council members, Mr. Boda?
No, I like what you're doing, and thank you to the gentlemen for offering their services. So I think this is going to help make the process a little bit more efficient, which I think is the ultimate goal here. So thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
No comments or questions.
I have one. Is this on a commission basis, or is this a straight? How's that work?
Yeah, and I can pull that up here. I'd have to look at it. We actually had them give us a different percentages of commission based on the type of transaction it was, what the value of the property was. Plus, they gave us some flat rates for hourly consulting as well.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
And Jack,
I see
Jack, as Amanda mentioned earlier with the rail trail,
yeah.
As we may have to go procure and work on easements with property owners, this is a service that consulting piece, Hyden and his team, KNLB, they could help broker those relationships and those deals with those property owners instead of us or Amanda or Will having to do that. They could work with those property owners directly if it's a commercial property. So
it's on a job by job basis.
Correct.
Okay. Good. I see the two gentlemen are here. Would you like to say anything? feel free.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Director for the KLMB Government Advisory Services Group, along with my partner, Harry Demitatis here. We basically help out federal government, state government, and local municipalities with any of their commercial real estate needs. We're happy to be working with the city of Salisbury here in the next few years with these opportunities. And, you guys ever need anything, please feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to help in any way we can. Thank you again.
Great, thank you very much.
Likewise, and my name's Harry Demitatis, and we're thrilled to be working with the city. And as Kai said, we're happy to help out in any way possible.
Great, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
And just as a point of order, that because a lot of us are sensitive about it, it's not Salisbury, it's Salisbury.
Salisbury, all right, got that. Sorry, out of towners, Salisbury.
Thank you.
Got it.
No problem. No, you're not.
Thank you.
Believe me, you're not the first, and you won't be the last. So,
Yeah.
Thank you.
okay. Next on the agenda, we have ordinance capping the commission of third-party delivery companies during the state of emergency. Laura Soper. Laura's here. I saw her.
Good afternoon,
Oh, I
everyone.
see you. Okay.
Hi. Tonight we have legislation that would cap the commission that third-party delivery companies like Grubhub, Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Postmates could collect during the state of an emergency. By way of history, these companies can typically collect up to 30 to 35% of any given sale from a restaurant, which basically forces a restaurant to operate at either a net zero or a loss on each sale. The 30 to 35% is some combination of fees for the actual delivery, marketing, and administrative fees. And before the COVID pandemic struck, this was something that the restaurants could typically take on. They could manage it since it didn't make up the majority of their sales. They still had dine-in, they still had carry out. But however, with the pandemic, most of these restaurants have really had to pivot to use these delivery platforms just to survive. So that being said, a much larger percentage of their sales are this third-party delivery, and they're losing money on it. So the proposed legislation would cap those fees at 15%. We also included a clause to protect the driver pay, and also to allow restaurants to opt into paying more if they so chose for marketing, SEO optimization. So they have that option if they would like. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them if you guys are willing to consider it.
Thank you, Laura. Mr. Boda?
These are the fees that are being charged on the back end. Like as a customer, I don't see these fees because I ordered from Specific Gravity last week. There's a delivery fee for $2.99, and then there was an additional service fee for $1.63. Plus, there was a donation, which I think I went to the food bank or something, and then plus I tipped the driver. So, but this is other fees that the restaurants are paying that we, the customer, don't see.
Yes, so every restaurant negotiates with the third-party platform, but there's little wiggle room on how to negotiate. So most of them are kind of stuck paying this set amount of fees, which equal 30 to 35%.
Yeah, because I think one of the restaurants last summer posted something, and it showed like their sales for that particular delivery company, and then it was literally like what they paid out was about a third to that company for the service.
Yeah, every restaurant that you talk to that uses these services will have a similar story. They'll be able to show you a receipt of their sales for the month, what they all totaled, and then what they're actually compensated for. And it's a significant chunk that the companies take, so.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm supportive of this. I think we, especially during state of emergency. I'm also supportive of just having the cap on there, not in a state of emergency. So just my opinion.
Mrs. Gregory?
Yeah, I mean, I have my own issues with services like these where I have ordered and they end up punishing if the delivery person that works for them and not for the actual restaurant misdelivers it. The restaurant takes the hit, the customer takes the hit, and the delivery person does not. So there's a lot of problems with these kind of apps, and I've been trying to myself personally been ordering directly from restaurants without using these apps, but absolutely, some of these places don't have the ability to have online ordering and stuff like that for themselves, just set all that up. And that's what makes these apps so appealing. But the fact that they're charging so much for the use is kind of really ridiculous. And I tend to agree with Mir that I wouldn't mind making this just an all-around rule for the city rather than just a state of emergency issue. But yeah, I support it definitely.
I've got a couple of, when I first got this and I read it once, and then as I normally do, I slept on it and then I read it again. And I do have a concern about some unintended consequences. So what I did when I started to feel like there's something that I think I should do here, I went out, as you know, in my district, I have a lot of the smaller mom and pop type stores, restaurants. And I asked them about this, and it was very interesting, the answers that I got. And the answer I got is, it sounds like a good idea, but a lot of these smaller businesses use this to make sure that they don't end up with dead stock, especially during the time of a crisis like this, because their sales are down generally. And I was concerned about that. So what I did was, and you can ask the Bill Chambers, I called Bill and I said, Bill, you meet with these guys routinely. What is your take on this? And he said, I'll be honest with you, you're not going to believe what I'm saying to you, because normally we would say, yeah, it's free enterprise. The market will bear what it'll bear. And then he said, however, we polled the people when Laura dropped off the initial legislation, and he said almost exclusively, with the exception of a couple of the very high-end businesses, they said it's a great idea, but, and essentially said the same thing. They're concerned about their turn and about their dead stock. And they said they would have less problem doing it during regular times without COVID, but during this time especially, as he finished it up by saying, it's a great idea, but it's not the right time and the place. So I do have some concerns about it. And I think that I don't want to have somebody be damaged, their business be damaged, because they're not making, see, from a business point of view, I would rather break even or lose a little than to lose the money of something I have to throw in the garbage. So that's my 2 cents. I wish April and Angela were able to make it today. And maybe what I could suggest is that we put it on the next work session, because I don't want to, I mean, right now I could not support moving it forward, but I'm willing to hear everybody's opinion, and if I would recommend that that's what we do. Does anybody have any comments relative to what I brought up?
Could we maybe invite a couple of these business owners to give their perspective on this? Is because I mean, if we do this, are they concerned that the app might not serve the area? I mean, what if it's a restaurant that's outside the city? That's part of the other issue that we have. If there's a business outside of the city that serves the city, but it doesn't apply to them, or vice versa. This would also benefit county residents who order from Salisbury restaurants. So, but I don't know. Is there a concern that these companies would discontinue their service if we did this? That's the other. I don't. Is that their fear that you got from them?
Well, to be honest, the thing outside the city didn't concern me until you said it. But does it put the county an advantage over the city guys? I don't know. But I don't know. I just, Laura, you look like you want to say something. So
Yeah, so what I think I'll do for next week is I'll reach out to some other municipalities, some restaurants and other municipalities that have seen this to see if they've seen any adverse effects from it. In my research, I was only able to find one adverse reaction from one of the companies, and I think that was in Jersey City when they added a cap to the commissions. The company tacked on an extra delivery fee in association with every order, so it was passed on to the customer. But I haven't heard of anything impacting restaurants, but I'd like some time to research that and see if I can reach out to some restaurants in areas where we've seen this cap added.
yeah, I know Baltimore City has a similar thing.
Yes.
And I'm not sure, that's a dense population, with a great number of restaurants. So I don't know if it's apples to apples, but again, I think that I'd like to hear personally from the other two council people. And maybe what you can do, Laura, is touch base with Bill, and maybe he can help you get a hold of some of the people and to make the meeting and say, hey, this is our opinion.
Yeah, I can definitely do that.
Great. Anything else from the council, Michelle, or?
No.
Okay. Mir? Okay. Let's put it on the next work session, and then we'll take it from there. All right. Thank you. That concludes the regular agenda. I'd like to do council remarks now for those who, I don't think there isn't anybody on. So let's go through and have council remarks and before we go into closed session. Julia, do you have anything that you'd like to, for the good of the order?
Just that we are eagerly awaiting more news on the mass vaccination site here at the Civic Center. I don't think anybody really has any news yet, but we have extended our offer to support the county in any way that we can to make that run more smoothly. And looks like the state's getting almost 50,000 doses of Johnson & Johnson, which is great. That's 50,000 people vaccinated, hopefully this week. So things are looking up a little bit.
Yeah, the good news about that one too is that's 50,000 done.
Right.
Because it's a one dose vaccine.
Right.
Okay, let's go to Mr. Boda.
Happy March, everybody. So I guess everybody's getting ready for St. Patrick's Day. Your Irish yoga. So just keep supporting your local restaurants and look forward to seeing everybody again. And I guess Angela's not here, so I'll say it, please give blood.
Thank you. Mrs. Gregory.
Just if you get an email about getting the vaccine, please sign up, get it done. I wouldn't say Nick would say it was painless, but he went and got his Friday, his first dose. So, you know, it was a pretty easy process going through the Civic Center, and that we were in and out. It took us longer to sit there and wait for a reaction afterwards than it did to actually get through the line and get it done. So, you know, get it if you can, please, please, please. It's very important.
Thank you, Michelle. Yeah, and I would like to echo what Michelle said and also say, please continue to wear your masks. The numbers are still going in the right direction. And let's not let it go back up again. Let's just stick with this until we beat it to death. So thank you very much, everybody. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Boda made the motion. Mrs. Gregory. The second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Mr. Boda.
Aye.
Mrs. Gregory.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. We are now going into closed session, and the reason we are going in is to discuss employee performance. Thank you, everyone, for sticking with us. We have just come out of closed session, and the purpose of the closed session was to discuss a personnel matter. We thank you all for your participation this evening, and have a great week. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.